What is up, everybody? Welcome to the State of Play December 2019 discussion. I'll also be covering Nintendo Indie World's presence in this, because between the two, wasn't a whole lot of announcements, but some stuff I'd like to discuss. Straight off the bat, we're going to bring up the fact that Resident Evil 3 and Project Resistance are officially the same game. I know there's been some rumors that have been floating around that it was like, oh, this is like weird that Project Resistance is just a lone multiplayer mode rather than an actual full game, which Capcom's been known to do. I mean, we all remember Umbrella Academy and Operation Raccoon City. Just, you know, some fun little offshoots. I don't know if I would say Umbrella Corp. I haven't really played it, but I haven't heard great things. And with that, we did get Resident Evil 3 proper. It looks like it's basically it's definitely using the same engine as Resident Evil 2. And of course, because Resident Evil 3 famously takes place in the same whereabouts as Resident Evil 2 Remake, I'm sure it was pretty easy to bring it up, and we're going to see kind of the same positions, maybe with some gameplay tweaks. What really gets me is, like, Resident Evil 2 I remember playing as a kid and, like, being terrified, but I have, like, some nostalgia for Resident Evil 2. But what's cool about Resident Evil 3 is that I don't. And I kind of only have fell into Resident Evil 3 through gameplay trailers and watching other people play it. So to see it in this new remake is going to be really cool for me, considering I haven't played the original. Kind of see that experiment done from a point of view of someone who hasn't played the original. And surprisingly, speaking of the short development time, April 3rd, 2020. Again, that is a stacked couple of months for games. Can we just, like, maybe we'll release this in February, or probably not. That's probably not a great thing. But, you know, release this in, like, June even. Like, there's too many games. We got Animal Crossing. We got Animal Crossing and Doom on the same day. Like, that's... Oh, man, my wallet is going to be hurting the first quarter. However, that was not the only thing that was announced at State of Play. We also had the full official reveal of Babylon's Fall. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was teased a couple of years ago, I believe at PSX, but I could be wrong. But anyways, it's a collaboration with Square Enix and Platinum Games. Kind of honestly looks Souls-like. There was a boss at the end of the trailer that, you know, you're doing your dodging. But it also had the charm of Bayonetta, which I was very excited to see how that meshed out and rolled into its own game. We did get the little teaser that more information would be next summer. So that means this game still is going to have a lengthy development. And a little bit late birthday present for me is the announcement of Predator Hunting Grounds on April 24th. Now, I'm a decent fan of the Predator franchise. I think the asymmetrical multiplayer is going to work very well in this game. I'm super excited to jump in with a few friends and check it out. It's really cool that a lot of people are starting to give out their licensed properties to people. I mean, we had Friday the 13th a couple of years ago. Dead by Daylight's getting a ton of licensed content. They had Stranger Things, Ash from Evil Dead. Really cool to see some properties actually getting some love rather than the treatment that they was getting in the early 2000s, where it was like just shitty licensed games. Barring your Spider-Man 2s and GoldenEyes, of course. But either way, looking forward to Predator Hunting Grounds coming April 24th, 2020. Also want to give just a little bit shout out to Untitled Goose game coming to PS4. I personally have a Switch, so this doesn't really affect me. It reached a whole other audience. I still haven't played it yet, but I've heard good things, so I'm sure it's just the meme of it all, but maybe I'll hop in and check it out. And we got a Ghost of Tsushima trailer, kind of only actually half of a trailer, just because they're saving it for the Game Awards, which makes sense. But it would have been really cool, really something to add on to the State of Play. Kind of a weird showing, honestly, to show half a trailer there and be like, oh, watch this at Game Awards. But I'm super hyped for Game Awards, so I'm willing to wait a couple of days. And the last thing I really want to highlight is Dreams, coming out officially February 14th, 2020. Good to see that we're going to have good old Media Molecule in the spotlight again with Dreams. And it's a cool concept. I know that they had the early access starting here for a couple months ago, I believe. And just to get the creators in, so hopefully they'll have a good amount at launch. And that brings us to State of Play as a whole. I think, honestly, the past few showings of State of Play have not been super thrilling. It's not like the Nintendo Directs. I believe that they will get there. I believe that they will get their footing and have a cool Nintendo Direct style when they get all this running. But again, it's only been running a couple months. It took Nintendo a few Directs to get the Direct format under control, and I think now they benefit from it greatly. So there's still room for State of Play. I just think that the past few showings have not been great, especially since the big one for the last one was The Last of Us, and that release date got moved anyways. So we'll see how in the future how these State of Plays roll out. I would love to see a stage presence from Sony again, but if this is the showings that they're going to have, then it doesn't really need to happen. Also, however, though, we are winding down the console cycle, so it's to be expected. It's just a little bit of a bummer that they started this on the end of the PS4 life cycle, not the beginning of the PS5's life cycle, so we could kind of be like bang, 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 bang. But still some cool announcements from some State of Play. I'm excited to see what they do in the future. With that, it brings us right over to Nintendo Indie World, and this was pretty cool. I love that Nintendo kind of gives a segment to the indie games of it all. I think State of Play did a good job as that as well, honestly. But I think that the fact that they dedicate a whole show to that really warms my heart, and we get to see some cool indie games that we wouldn't have seen otherwise, or may have not even know the names of. Again, I'm going to do a quick run through here of what I liked, what I enjoyed. Of course, Axiom Verge, the capper of the show, popped up. Axiom Verge 2 is being worked on as we speak and will release sometime in fall of 2020. The gameplay mechanics look like Axiom Verge, like a Metroid game. I kind of wish that Tom Happ kind of got to work in his own Metroid game, but I'm still excited to see what he does with the Axiom Verge franchise at this point. The other decent news is that a lovely little Switch game that released around the launch of the Switch, actually, is getting a sequel in Sports Story. The sequel to the beloved golf story. I never picked it up, but I've always heard great things. I'm also not a golf guy. I did like Everybody's Golf. Maybe because of this, I will pick up Golf Story, check it out for myself to see how it is. It kind of just passed me by. And Sports Story looks really cool. Really cool. I know they put RPG elements in it. I'm not super familiar with it, but again, it looks really cool, and I will check it out. Another game that's been around the space as of recently is Skatebird. I've heard great buzz around it. The gameplay looks pretty fun. I don't know if it's necessarily my cup of tea. I really like skateboarding games, so hopefully this will be one for me. In late 2020, that is, which is unfortunately not promising, but also either way, I'm excited to see what the game brings. Another game I wanted to highlight is Super Mash, coming out in May of 2020. It is just a game that you're like, hey, platformer, JRPG, let's put them together, and it makes the game for you with seemingly endless possibilities. It looks like if this is played right, it could be something that is really cool and unique in its own right. I'm not I hope it's more than surface level of what it seems, but if it is, it looks amazing. We got the announcement that Boyfriend Dungeon, the game where you dungeon crawl, but then swords become boyfriends that are single until you meet them, and they're not boyfriends, is coming out on Switch. So, for people who like that, kind of cool. The last thing that I wanted to point out was the fact that Oddworld Stranger's Wrath is coming to Nintendo Switch. Now, I remember as a kid wanting to play this game so much. I did buy it on Vita a couple years ago, but I never really tried it out. I kind of bought it at the end of my Vita life cycle. So hopefully I get a little bit of a fresh go with the Switch version in January of 2020. And that's it for today. Honestly, Indie World was really cool. I love that they showcase all these games into a nice little package that we can be like, oh, okay, this is that. Oh, when have we saw that? I mean, I know that that's kind of how I kept an eye on like things like Katana Zero. I just really love the fact that that Nintendo does this. State of Play was also really cool. I'm glad to see that Resident Evil 3 is finally announced. I mean, it's been leaked, but also it's a state of what happens in the games industry nowadays. And of course, want to let you guys know, if you're not following my Twitter, follow me on Twitter at ShotgunMcPain, same way you spell this YouTube channel. I also will be streaming the Game Awards at twitch.tv/ShotgunMcPain Thursday, December 12th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope to see you there. I think we're going to get some exciting announcements. I mean, the fact that Resident Evil 3 Remake was a State of Play announcement and not a Game Awards announcement really has me hyped. And the fact that we already know that we're going to see Ghost of Tsushima there. And the one I'm hoping for is the new WB game, whether that be Batman or whether that be Harry Potter. Either or I'm going to be excited for. I've also, if you haven't seen, released the new video essay. I've now officially titled my video essays Memory Lane. I think that just works for me. I like the title, and hopefully we'll keep doing some more of those. For right now, they are on a hiatus, so just for a month it seems like, but possibly two. There's a couple of videos I want to do that are not in that same vein, so we'll see how things work out. And if you guys like the other content better than the video essays, or the video essays better than the other content, I'll switch it up and see what you guys like. But anyways, until I see you next time, take care.